So since in Craig Wright's presentation, he argued that making the Lightning Network work is as hard as breaking a discrete block, which is absolutely false. He claimed that in the context of selfish mining, gamma can be less than 0, which is an absolutely nonsensical claim that makes no sense. Given that he makes so many non-sequiturs of his takes, why is this fraud allowed to speak at this conference?
Yeah!
The supposed fraud? Australian-born technologist Craig Wright, who gained notoriety 3 years ago after claiming he was Bitcoin's mysterious creator, Satoshi Nakamoto. While there's little doubt Buterin created Ether, Wright's claims have yet to be substantiated.
A year following the incident, Buterin received a letter from Wright's attorney saying the young Russian-Canadian would be sued for defamation in UK courts, establishing a pattern for Wright. Receive criticism, sue. Rinse and repeat. In the past year, Wright, who also claims to have a master's degree in law from Northumbria University, would file several defamation cases against his perceived enemies, including podcaster Peter McCormick and early Bitcoin investor Roger Ver.
The supposed crime? Calling Wright an imposter.
Since Wright's public announcement in 2016, he has supplied little hard evidence of his role in Bitcoin's founding, except in 2016, when he gave a private demonstration of the digital signature used by Satoshi for journalists at the BBC and The Economist, as well as prominent figures in the crypto industry. The proof is conclusive, and I have no doubt that Craig Stephen Wright is the person behind the Bitcoin technology. John Matonis, founding director of the Bitcoin Foundation, wrote in a blog at the time.
Others in the Bitcoin community responded with incredulity. John McAfee, a more recent Bitcoin convert, says he knows who the real Bitcoin creator is, and it isn't Wright. Though he received the epithet McScammer, he hasn't been sued yet.
Wright was undoubtedly an early participant in the Bitcoin community, having amassed 1.1 million coins between 2009 and 2013, allegedly through a shared mining effort with his business partner, David Kleiman. David, a veteran and computer forensics expert, died in 2013 after a protracted battle with MRSA. In an ironic twist, a few years after his death, suspicions arose that Dave might be the real creator of Bitcoin, suspicions some hold to this day. Those making the assertions pointed to Dave's background in cryptography, his unerring secrecy, and his involvement on a mailing list devoted to cryptography, the venue the original Bitcoin white paper was published on in 2008.
It was these same allegations that primed Wright to claim the title for his own. Oh, and there was an unfinished draft of a contract obtained by Gizmodo showing Wright entrusting Kleiman with 1.1 million Bitcoin in 2011.
What was later referred to as the Tulip Trust is now at the heart of a lawsuit, in a turn of fate waged against Wright. Ira Kleiman, brother of Wright's former business partner, alleges Wright defrauded the family's estate, worth in excess of $10 billion at the time, and stole his brother's intellectual property.
While Kleiman doesn't seek to ascertain the true identity of Satoshi Nakamoto, Wright is using the platform to both distance himself and also broadcast his founding stake in Bitcoin.
At the time, Binance CEO Changpeng Zhou called Wright a fraud, following Wright's attacks on Twitter user Hodlnaut, who started the Lightning Network torch. Wright publicly placed a bounty on Hodlnaut's identity after the latter claimed Wright is not Satoshi. 1 month later, Wright filed registrations with the U.S. Copyright Office, supporting his claims of authorship over the original Bitcoin code and the Satoshi white paper. Some have subsequently noted this may be another sleight of hand. As the Copy Office said, in general, registration is voluntary. Copyright exists from the moment the work is created, meaning that the registration does not imply ownership, nor is it an official patent, but does prepare for lawsuits associated to ownership. Despite these legal initiatives, Wright has begun to speak out against what Bitcoin has developed into, citing it as a tool used primarily for criminal enterprise. Instead, Wright backs Bitcoin SV, a breakaway cryptocurrency that supposedly upholds Satoshi's vision. This past June, Kleiman and Wright reached an impasse at a mediation session. While many of the documents pertaining to the suit have been sealed, a redacted declaration filing has also surfaced. The final trustee listed is the holder of PGP key IDs, which is Satoshi Nakamoto, with Craig Wright parenthetically related. After submitting the document, Wright was accused of violating a court order to produce a full list of Bitcoin addresses he held prior to December 31st, 2013.
He was deposed for such a crime on Friday, June 28, 2019. His appearance drew a crowd of skeptics and devoted followers, some of whom tweeted out the day's proceedings.
Earlier that week, Wright had called upon 3 expert witnesses and upon himself to give testimony relating to his involvement in Bitcoin and the holdings. At the evidentiary hearing, Wright's witnesses did not make it to the stage, as the court's time was taken up with a long deposition, in which Wright allegedly burst into tears when discussing the crimes that had been committed with Bitcoin. He again denounced his involvement in the developing technology. Wright was said to have thrown a piece of evidence supposedly entered into the court record by his defense team on the ground, exclaiming, "You've put forth documents I don't recognize." As it stands, Wright's witnesses will appear in court for the sanctions and contempt hearing on August 5th. Wright will not make an appearance.